Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Let's talk a little bit about the F-18A, guys. As you know, it was accepted into consideration for the developers for Gaijin. What does that mean? Does it mean that the F-18 is coming? Well, let's talk a little bit about it, okay guys? So first things first, F-18, I don't need to explain what an F-18 is, of course. Very well-known aircraft, naval. You know, very similar performance from other aircraft that we already have in the game, and of course uses even a radar that it's already in the game in the F-18B Plus, right? So expect this aircraft to come soon no matter what. You know, it's an aircraft that I think is better than the F-14 for the meta especially, and it will probably be added fairly soon. I think there are some others that will be coming sooner, maybe even, for example, an F-15C for the US. That could actually use the M20s or something like that. I would see something along like that to be coming first before any F-18. And they accepted the F-18A into consideration, or pass it to the developers, is what they mean, right? It's kind of complicated, guys. First things first is that what does it even mean, you know, pass it into consideration? I mean, it basically means what they are saying, right? It's being considered by the devs, or even some forum members, or not forum members, like community managers. They always say how it is basically just a very well documented suggestion, and with that people will actually take a proper look on it. And that's how they're considering, right? So they have all the documentation needed for a proper suggestion, and then they will consider if it has a place in the game or not. So does it mean that it's coming? No, it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean anything, actually. That's why I basically don't do videos about this thing, because the suggestions passed to developers don't mean anything. It's fun to actually take a look on what Gaijin is actually considering, and sometimes some of these vehicles they are introduced, but 99% of the time they are left out there for a very long time. So it can be that in the future they can be added, but we don't even know how, you know, much in the future that is. So yeah, it's first of all not a confirmation, and second, it's not even suggesting that it's coming early or not, if it was, right? We saw a lot of aircraft already suggested in that. Aircraft like the MiG-25, for example, it's been there for a very long time, and we don't have it in the game yet. And I always talk about this aircraft, right? And there are many options. You can, of course, if you are already in the community and following everything, you already know everything about the suggestions passed to the developers, right? But yeah, could it actually be added very soon? I mean, it's another question that, like I said, the aircraft is already very similar to the other ones that we have in the game, meaning that it would already have the performance of other aircraft. It should have around 250 meters per second of climb, kinda. And a maximum speed of Mach 1.8. The thrust to weight of it, the thrust to weight, you know, ratio would be very good. And it's just an aircraft that it would be like an F-16, kinda, in certain situations. So kinda like a light fighter, but at the same time it's not only a light fighter, right? And the funny part is that the F-18A, which is literally the first version that they ever produced about the F-18, would be even more interesting, because it uses the older radars and everything like that, meaning that without an upgrade or anything like that, it would not be able to carry something like the M120. So it's even more possible to be added very soon, before the Fox 3s are added. And I don't know, I have this feeling that they have two options ahead of them. Add the Fox 3s to the aircraft that we have right now, add versions of aircraft that, you know, need to be added to have those missiles in certain aircraft. So add for the F-16s, add for the SMT and everything, or the Yak-141 and and everything like that. But they will probably add something like the F-15C for the US to be able to carry those missiles as well, or a version of the F-4F with the ICE package to actually be able to fire AIM-120s as well. But at the same time, if they do that in the next couple of patches, there's a lot of aircraft, or not a lot maybe, but there are some aircraft that will kind of be left behind on performance, and they will suffer when they are added. And they will be what some might call dead on arrival, which I kind of disagree that it exists. For example, the Tornado ADV is one that a lot of people say that it was dead on arrival, but they fixed its BR, and now it's a very good aircraft if you know what you're doing at 11.3. I mean, it's a very low BR for such an aircraft. And the same goes for something like the F-18. If they add the F-18, if it's the A, it doesn't, I mean, not necessarily, as I said, it depends on the variant. It can have some upgrades to it to be able, if I'm not mistaken, to use the M120, but in general, it would be a very early F-18, right? So Sparrows and A9Ls and Ms, right? That would be the main armament of the aircraft. And if, I don't know, a lot of fighters are already in the game, Gripens, SMTs, Su-27s, SMs, or F-15Cs that have those missiles are already in the game, it means that the F-18A would be already lacking from the get-go and getting a lower BR, which is okay, but I would much rather have, more on-point addition of having the F-18A having, like, being added right now in the next patch, and then having a new variant added later to it that can carry the M120, and when those are added, they add a 12.7 at least BR, right? So at least it's my opinion. As I said, does it mean the F-18A is coming? No, it doesn't. There's a lot of interesting things on that forum post. We have some things like the ICE itself that I was talking about, the Tu-22, the F-111K, the Mitsubishi F2, and every single month they post that, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just kind of accepted into a serious suggestion. So just have that in mind, okay? Nonetheless, hopefully the F-18 comes along. Nick and I are waiting for, which is a very dear friend of mine. So yeah, hopefully it gets added in the very short future. See you guys on the next one.